So you're a real estate agent struggling to get price reductions. You have a lot of listings, but the phones aren't ringing because your properties are priced too high. Now, think about how many deals you can actually close in the next 60 days if half of the listings that you have get price reductions. Half of them. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. And at the end of the video, I'll tell you where you can find the exact scripts that will also help you reduce the prices. The thing is, there's no use in having a bunch of listings if they're all priced incorrectly. I mean, if you think about, if you watch, for example, the Oppenheim group on Netflix, it's called Selling Sunset. They're in Beverly Hills, right? They're like this multi-billion-dollar real estate agency in California, but they get an $80 million listing. It sounds great, but is it actually great if it sits on the market for 6 months, 8 months, a year? No, it's horrible because it's overpriced by $20 million. So it really doesn't matter how many listings you have. What matters is, do you get the right price reductions or the right pricing strategy in general on the listings? And do you have the skills to actually be able to negotiate well enough with your customers, with your clients, how to get those prices down? So in this video, you're going to learn exactly how to do that. If you're new to my channel, my name is Muna, and consider subscribing because I talk about sales and business related topics every week. And click the little bell icon so you can be notified every time I upload a new video and you won't miss the next one. Let's get into today's topic, how to get price reductions in real estate. I wanted to just take a second and let you know that this video is actually sponsored by, well, me. Sales Society is the perfect membership group for you. If you're a salesperson or an entrepreneur that really wants to step up your sales game and set yourself apart from the competition, but you want to do it in the shortest time possible. In Sales Society, you get access to full courses with very unique sales techniques that you're not going to find anywhere else. Plus, you get personalized feedback sessions from me, and every month we have giveaways and exclusive perks. So check out Sales Society in the link below. And let's get back to the video. Let's talk about property owners and why they would actually want to reduce their prices. First of all, does any property owner actually want to reduce their prices? Of course not, but some do. And the question is why? Why does any property owner ever reduce their price? Now, the answer to this question will actually guide you on how to get a lot of your listings to get price reductions. So this is the first concept that you need to completely wrap your brain around. Why? Why is that buyer motivated to sell? And the thing is, you can't just come out and ask them. I mean, you can ask that question, why do you want to sell? And you'll get a little bit of information. But in this video, I'm going to give you better ways to ask that question. In any form of communication, there's 20 ways to ask the same question, right? You know, you've probably gotten in an argument about, oh, it's not what you said, it's how you said it. So in this video, you're going to learn some unique ways to ask the questions that will uncover what type of client you're dealing with, so you understand better how to get them to drop their price. Now in 2020, when the market prices are dropping, there's really only 3 reasons why a property owner would refuse to drop their price. So here's the thing, if they've agreed to list their property with you, then they want to sell it. They are motivated somehow. But if they're refusing to drop their price, if they're refusing to give you a price reduction, then it's your job to figure out which of the 3 reasons it really is that they don't want to drop their price. And here's the 3 reasons. The first reason is they have emotional ties to that property. And that could be, maybe it's a house that they're living in or they lived in before. and they are emotionally attached to it. And this is actually very interesting because the house comes with a perceived value to the owner that is a higher value than anybody else would perceive. So just, somebody that saw the house for the first time, they're not going to have that emotional tie to the house like the owner has, who's lived in it for 15, 20 years. The feelings, the perceived value is going to be a lot different. The owner has memories in it. Maybe his kids grew up in it. So many things happen in that house. The perceived value goes way up, but a prospective buyer looking at that house has none of those memories, has none of those perceived values. So the disconnect happens where the owner has this perceived value and a potential buyer is looking at the actual market value, which is here. And so this is where a major disconnect happens sometimes if there are emotional ties to the property. The second category a property owner can fall into is if they have no other financial burdens. If they don't have anything else financially that is requiring them to put capital into it, then they simply don't have any type of urgency for them to get their hands on any kind of cash. And so the fact that they've listed their property with you, it's great, but at the same time, they're not in any kind of rush because they don't have anybody behind them saying, you need to pay me for this, or we're waiting for, your bills are behind on, this investment. They don't have any of that. So that's the second category they can be in. The third category is this could be somebody that has a lot of properties. This is what they do. They invest in real estate. And they don't mind waiting 5 to 10 years whenever the market picks up again for them to sell at a profit. They don't mind waiting. This is their business. Now, what's interesting about this category is it's actually the easiest out of all three categories for you to get them to agree to a price reduction. And here's why. A real estate investor that has multiple properties, this is a person that is business-minded. And business-minded people, they're always going to be looking for something that's going to give them the best return, the best deal, the smartest investment. So if you can intelligently give them that information, and I'll explain to you how at the end of the video, that you have a very high chance of being able to maybe do multiple transactions with that particular owner or investor. So that's a really good one. But if the person is in the first category and they're emotionally tied to the house or the apartment, and on top of that, if they don't have any other properties, so they're completely new to real estate, plus they have emotional ties, that is actually a very difficult scenario. It's not impossible. It can definitely be done, but it is going to take more work on your part to get them to understand that there needs to be a price reduction in this piece of real estate in order for it to actually move. And this particular category is similar to a concept I used to deal with a lot in one of my old companies. So I used to meet with restaurants, for example, and let's say an authentic pizzeria. The owner would say, oh, but my pizza is the absolute best. And the sauce comes directly from Italy, and the basil is fresh from this organic garden. And they would go on and on and on and on. And I would explain to them at the end of it that all these things are fantastic and important, but you're sitting with me because you want more customers to come in and taste your pizza. And in order for us to do that, we have to price it correctly, because everything you're telling me about the quality of your pizza sounds great, but for a consumer that wants to get a slice of pizza, they have no idea about all of the high quality of your ingredients until they actually come and try it. They need to come and taste the pizza first. So how do we get people to taste the pizza? We have to price it correctly. maybe even below market value, maybe even at a discount. So the goal is get people in, get people hooked on your pizza, and then you can increase the price. And this concept actually relates directly to real estate, really to a lot of industries, but in real estate, it's a similar concept where if you're pricing your property higher than market value, you're not going to get any buyers. You're not going to get anybody to come in and look around. And think about this. If you price it below market value and people come in, see it, fall in love with it, and then you create a bidding war among potential buyers, there's a very high chance that you're actually going to get above listing price offers. There's a very good chance because now you're in a bidding war, but you have to get there first. And this is the way you need to explain it to your clients. So it's pizza and real estate is the same is what I'm trying to say. But think about this. Have you ever walked into a house or an apartment that was a little bit over your budget, but because you loved it so much, you found a way to make it work? It's the same concept. People do that all the time. But the point is, they're never even going to walk in there to begin with if the initial price is too high. The better that you can get at explaining this to your clients, especially with these types of analogies, it will really help them to understand, yeah, I should listen to this real estate agent. They do know what they're talking about. That makes a lot of sense. And again, at the end of this video, I'll let you know exactly where to find the exact scripts that I use. And I teach all of my real estate students to get price reductions, and it works beautifully. So how do you find out which category the client is in? I'm going to give you 3 very simple questions that you can ask them. You want to grab a pen and a piece of paper for this right now. And of course, this is going to require you keeping them on the phone. So if you already have a hard time keeping clients on the phone when you're trying to get price reductions or you're trying to really do anything and you need to get that thing done over the phone, but you're just not that good at keeping them on the phone, then you actually, after watching this video, go back and watch some of my other videos on telesales and telephone training techniques, because that's absolutely essential. If you can't keep them on the phone, you're not going to be able to ask them these questions that I'm about to give you. And if you can't ask them these questions, you're never going to know why they're actually refusing to drop their price. And if you don't know that, then you can't get them to actually reduce their price. So it all starts with your telephone techniques. Now, what are the questions that you can ask? The first question you want to ask somebody is, do you live in the property? And if they say yes, then you're going to ask them how long they've lived there. Do they have kids? You want to ask them some open-ended questions, and you want to let them talk as long as they want. And because you are a fantastic real estate agent that takes notes when your client is speaking, right? You are going to be taking notes on what they're saying. Do they have kids? How long have they lived in the house? How old are their kids? Whatever details that they are willingly sharing with you, you are making notes and asking more and more follow-up questions. You're just getting as much insight into this person's life as you possibly can, because that is very powerful information for you as a real estate agent. Knowing a lot about a property owner is going to help you reduce the price, or it's going to help you sell them another property. And the way that they answer this question, if they tell you, yes, I've lived in this house for 10 years, I have kids, and they grew up here, this will tell you right away they are emotionally tied to that house. And that's why they refuse to drop the price. And a lot of agents will say, well, Mona, can I just ask them, are you emotionally tied to the house? Can you ask them that? Yeah. Is that going to work in your favor? No. Why? Because again, if you remember, there's 20 ways to ask the same question. And if you ask that question, it will put them in a defensive state, especially if you're asking a male that question. So if you ask a male, are you emotionally tied to the house? Even though the answer might be yes, most likely he's gonna say no, I'm not emotionally tied to the house. What, am I emotional? I mean, it's not going to give you the response that you want, but if you ask that same question in a different way, do you live there? How long have you lived there? Do you have kids? All of those types of questions, that will tell you the answer. The reason I'm giving you the question in this format is because it's more effective. It's that simple. The second question that you want to ask them is, do you have other properties? And if they say yes, then you want to ask them how many other properties and are they tenanted? Now, the way they answer this question, if they tell you yes, and yes, I have tenants in all of them, then right there you know that this is a real estate investor and you know you're dealing with somebody that's business minded, and you can probably get them to change their mind if you present them with smart information about how maybe a different property is going to give them a higher return. And in which case you can actually not only get them to give you a price reduction on the property they have listed with you, but you could probably also sell them a different property. 2 transactions, 1 client, boom. And just a bonus follow-up question, if you ask them if they have multiple properties and they're tenanted, they say yes, then the simplest follow-up question you can ask is, what other properties are you looking at investing in? Because this type of mindset, especially in a down market, they're definitely already looking at other properties or have thought about it. And they're business minded. So they're probably not, using cash up front. They're probably, taking mortgages from banks. So they have the ability to purchase more properties, and this is a great time to do it, and they know that. So this is a very smart follow-up question for you. Just ask them, what other properties are you thinking about investing in? Or have you been looking at? Because they're probably going to tell you, well, this one, I saw this one, I'm thinking about investing, in this area. And right there, if you have some of those listings, you just turned a potential property owner into a buyer as well with one simple follow-up question. So these questions are very, very critical to your success and your commissions. Now, what if they say no to both questions? So, no, I haven't lived in the property. I don't have other properties. Then the other question that you're going to want to ask them, question number 3, is, well, you sound like a savvy businessman or businesswoman. What industries have you invested in? What type of work do you do? And the reason that you want to ask these questions is because, number 1, it's flattering to them, but number 2, it will give you insight into maybe they are just financially very comfortable and they don't have any financial burdens that are requiring them to put capital into it. So they're actually not really motivated to sell this property at all, which should make you want to reconsider even having this listing at all. This is a more difficult client to deal with because they have no actual motivation to sell. You're going to have to dig a little deeper here with more questions about why they even listed it in the first place. You can literally ask that as a follow-up question after they tell you what type of investments they do work with, and just see what they say. But the other 2 categories are a bit easier for you to work with than this one. And the reason that you really need to know why your property owners are refusing to give you a price reduction is because without this knowledge, you will be spending an equal amount of time on everybody, when in actuality, there are going to be certain property owners that are going to be persuaded more easily, depending on which category they fall in. The real estate investors are going to be the most easily persuaded if you can give them a smart argument, but not in an argument form. Smart reasoning, let's say that. And the second easiest out of these categories is going to be the people that have emotional ties to the house. Once you can get them to understand how other potential buyers don't have the same perceived value that they do, using a lot of analogies. But the other category is going to be the most difficult. So if you can understand which category they fall in, then you know where to spend most of your time. Because we all have a limited amount of time in the day. So if you're spending your time, let's say, on that category that you think you can persuade, but really they have zero motivation to actually sell, but because you haven't been asking the right questions, you actually don't know that, you're simply spending your time with the wrong people, which means that the buyers that do have a much higher chance of reducing their price, they're not getting your attention just because you don't know that they have a higher chance of reducing their price. So ask these questions and it will give you a lot of insight, and then you know where to focus your time. Now, if you're really good at getting price reductions, then what you want to do is, after you figure out which category that this particular property owner is in, use your techniques to get price reductions. Now, if you want to use my techniques and my scripts, statistically, you should be getting 3 out of every 5 of your listings to agree to a price reductions with my scripts. And you can find them in the Sales Society. I'll put the link in the description below. And it's a mini course designed specifically for real estate agents to get price reductions on your listings. It's very easy. It's very simple, and all you have to do is follow the script. So you have not only the psychology behind it, you have downloadable scripts as well. And it's primarily an audio with visuals as well, but the audio is designed so you can actually hear, because most of your conversations are happening over the phone, right? So this course is designed as an audio so you can hear the tonality, the cadence, the pauses, the silences, everything that comes inside of the telephone training. So that's why this course is designed as an audio primarily. So you can really copy that and mimic those techniques and the actual scripts to get your price reductions. So I hope this was helpful for you. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss my next video. And I'll see you next time.